Oh, I've got a little boy called Harry.
How old?
He's fine.
Oh, same. They're a nightmare at that age, aren't they? Will not do as they're told, ever.
See? It's not hard to play nice sometimes, is it?
Stop bullying me.
Well, someone needs to keep you in check.
I need to take this. Lydia, work out a discount for a bulk order. Trevor, you old dog.
Oh, my goodness, thank you so much. Seriously, Gavin scares me a bit. Oh, scares everyone.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 184 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street Catcher podcast that feels partly responsible for everything on Twitter this week, being Corey Carter's been surprised at London, or Sally saying the girls. I'm Gavin.
And I'm just blown away this morning.
Yeah, that noise you can hear, it's not... Well, we did have Chinese food last night, but that doesn't explain the wind that we're currently experiencing outside the house.
Yes. We're under a heavy wind advisory at the moment. So we're trying to get the...
Which is typical in this house. Which is a second fart joke in, 25 seconds?
Which is why we're trying to get the podcast done and over with before the power goes out.
Yeah.
We all have to hide in the basement.
Yeah. Some freaky windy weather and
freaky warm
in the
weather
Midwest.
as well.
Yeah.
It's December and it's 60 degrees.
And it snowed already like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Much earlier than normal.
So, welcome to any new listeners who may have joined us on Twitter this week. There were a lot of you.
I don't know if it
And
works like
I'm hoping that maybe, you
There's
know,
one.
since you're following us now, maybe you'll listen to the podcast as well. And thanks to Rob Millard and lots and lots and lots of other people who retweeted our posts from a long time ago that we retweeted with new
that. What are you
content.
talking about?
Because the girls and London, it was just, we added new content to them.
Oh, we did?
Or you did.
There we go.
I say we because it's our podcast. Fanny. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. I'm not sure it works like that, but
Well-
if we do have any, you're more than welcome to listen once and then never listen again.
Or continue to listen because we are quite funny.
So how have you been this week?
You know, tried to get ready for Christmas.
It's Christmas time, y'all.
Almost got all the Christmas shopping done.
2 weeks today.
It's crazy.
Oh, well, that begs a question.
What?
When are we going to do the Christmas episode?
Well, we have to wait for Corey to do their Christmas episode, yes?
Well, normally we would record up to the Friday. Mm-hmm. So we'd be recording on
What-
Christmas Day before the Christmas episodes dropped.
What did we do last year?
We recorded on Christmas Eve and posted on Boxing on Christmas Day, I think.
Well, then we'll just do that again.
That doesn't make any sense, though. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
I think if we're going by the weekly cycle, then we would be recording a podcast on Christmas Day. I
Right.
don't know if you want to do that.
I mean, what else are we going to do Christmas Day?
Well,
Go out for Chinese and watch movies?
That's
We are shipping the children.
that's my thought.
We are shipping the children out to spend the holidays with the other relatives, but we are staying home because my health has been weird, and we just don't want to risk it in these days,
Exactly.
in these dark days.
So that gives us a little holiday, a little staycation, I believe the kids are calling it.
Correct.
So
Which is kind of what we had last year as well.
Yeah.
Only this year it's by choice.
we might as well just record it on Christmas Day then.
Might as well.
But then there's a Christmas Day episode.
Why are we spending so much time on this when there's a windstorm outside? And we may have to go hide in the basement.
Just try to put that off. Maybe recording, but you said there's a Boxing Day episode though.
There's also a Christmas Eve episode and a New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day
We
episode.
don't have to worry about New Year's until the week after.
So do you want to wait until after the Boxing Day episode and then record?
But then we're recording for tons of episodes.
Yeah, and I don't want to do
I don't
that.
want to do that either.
All right.
Yeah, that's picking up out there.
Yeah, so
Let's plough on then.
please.
Shall we preamble? Shall we hurriedly preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that breezy Corey news.
Easy breezy beautiful. Cover girl news.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
And maybe she's born with it.
It's a hereditary disease. Maybe she was born with it. Maybe it's... no, that's not true.
Enough. Maybe she's just unvaccinated. Anyway,
Chuckle.
Coronation Street continues to clean up this award season.
It's getting embarrassing now.
Scooping all 4 soap awards from the iTalk Telly Awards this week, including Best Soap, Best Newcomer for Vinta Morgan,
That was nice to see.
yes, Best Performance for Jude Reardon, and Best Partnership for Ben Price and Jane Danson. So congratulations all around. Now
Those were the
stop
4.
it.
Obviously, that was the 4 that I'd voted for.
Right.
But, yeah, really
Did
nice.
you vote?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to vote?
Well, I did.
Okay.
There's no from
I didn't know
to.
if I didn't know if it was like Eurovision and people outside of the designated countries can't vote for the iTalk Telly Awards.
No, iTalk Telly Awards isn't like Eurovision.
Okay. I remember Stelly was so sad
Just as
last
camp,
year.
apparently, but
Stelly was so sad last year that she couldn't vote for Eurovision. She's like, this is an injustice.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you think the rest of the world feels now?
like hop aboard the injustice train.
Yes.
No, I was pleased about Vinta Morgan
Yes.
because it was nice to see.
Nice to see somebody other than Jude Reardon being newcomer.
Right, but then it was also nice to see Jude getting just best performance, not
Right,
best
absolutely.
performance by a child, not best newcomer performance, just best performance. And then it was nice to see the work that Ben Price and Jane Danson have been put in for the last
Right.
what feels
Now,
like
please
couple of years
No, please give them a vacation.
has been rewarded. So yeah, good stuff.
Jane Danson had 2 partnerships to celebrate this week as she and her husband, Robert Beck of Hollyoaks, celebrated their 16th wedding anniversary this week as well. Mazel tov to them. I think Robert Beck was also on Coronation Street. He played a mechanic at one point. So everybody's played a mechanic on Coronation Street at least once or twice. Yes?
I believe so. I believe that's how it works.
Yes.
It's flickering.
And finally, that wasn't the only anniversary we're celebrating this week. Somebody
I
else
forget?
had a really big birthday this week.
What have I forgotten?
Well, it was our niece Kaylin's birthday, but it was also Happy Birthday to the Cobbles, which launched on ITV on December 9th, 1960. So 61 happy years. Many congratulations and returns on the day,
Yeah, 61
etc.,
years.
etc., etc. And that's Corey News.
On to our mailbag then. Tina got in touch on Twitter to say it's not just that you continue to commit to the Crush Strana jokes, it's the quality that remains high. But this week's entry was superb. Much like Johnny, I'm swept away, she says. Oh well, I'm tired. Thank you for always giving. And then John, friend of the podcast, wrote in to say, Susanna Hoffs. And now,
And then a heart emoji.
and then a gif. I enjoyed that gif. And now, we'll podcast for coffee.
Maybe a little too much.
Thank you to Script to Scene. Buying our coffees this morning.
The Twitter feed formerly known as the Ben Price fan page.
I think it's been long enough now that we can stop saying that.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny.
So long as you
It's
find
like
it funny.
equating her with Prince.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're drinking your coffee out of a enormous SpongeBob SquarePants mug.
Yes, I did.
That's my soup mug.
And actually, I didn't buy it for you because you and Stelly do the SpongeBob Squarecast.
Yes.
So whenever we see SpongeBob stuff, we kind of...
That's the downside of having a podcast about SpongeBob is that you continually buy SpongeBob stuff.
Well, Stelly's to blame for this
Talking about it's enough.
foamy thing This foamy
What's,
SpongeBob
what
on a
even
spring.
is that made of? That can't be good for the environment.
It's plastic. It's like melted plastic foamy.
Oh, good, it's been
stuff.
melted.
Yes.
Excellent.
I believe it's a lamp. I believe if I stick a light bulb up SpongeBob's arse, that he'll light up.
Well, he's only human. Well, he isn't really. Anyway, thank you to Scriptocene for buying our coffees this morning. I'm drinking mine out of my best fucking husband ever mug.
Because it's true.
And you have your SpongeBob mug because it's true. If you want to buy us coffees for next week, not you Scriptocene, you're off the hook,
Yes.
then go to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, and we'll be forever grateful.
Yes, we will.
And now, this.
Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver. Just enough time to quickly talk about my Nanky Poo days.
This was about a musical, wasn't it? It was about,
Well, that's kind of given away in the title here.
yes. It's from, is it Gilbert and Sullivan?
This is from Gilbert and Sullivan.
This is Sally, isn't it?
Nope. I mean, that's right. This was Brian singing Gilbert and Sullivan in front of Ray Weinstein.
Oh, that's right.
He
It
was
was
talking
Brian.
about his Mikado and his
Yes.
Nanky Poo days.
I was in the Mikado once.
Were you?
Yeah.
Just the once they didn't invite you back.
Well, it was shortly thereafter that, people started to realize how very, very racist it was. So people stopped doing it.
That was Gavin, and you needed to fix your earbuds. I can't remember what that was about. But they were headphones. Your cans were falling off.
Yeah.
And then we went into a long...
My cans.
Yeah, let's not
The
investigate
cans on my head, not the other ones.
Right. We ended up talking about AirPods for about 5 minutes. We discovered in the podcast that we'd avoided each other's Christmas holiday plans. You were taking the week off before I was taking the week off from work.
What week? What are you
It's
taking off?
always the week between Christmas and New Year. It's always that week.
Well, that's the week I took this week.
Excellent.
This year. It's not the week that I took this week. It's the week I took this year.
Right. I'm carrying forward so many holidays into next year. I'm going to have 8 weeks of paid vacation next year.
Nice.
I won't get to take it.
I don't get paid vacation.
It's nice. You should try it.
Well, if they'd give me a job with paid vacation, then I would try it.
This week's joke was wondering if William Shakespeare was patient to be to get his COVID vaccine. We were toying with the idea of a Christmas goose. Remember that?
Yes, and then you said no because what if it's
What if
gross?
yeah, you don't want to eat something for the first time on Christmas.
Right. And it's hilarious because just like a week, 2 weeks ago, Mersey Tart tweeted basically the same thing with him and his partner.
Right?
That one of them wanted to try a goose and the other one was like,
You don't want to try something on Christmas Day. You don't want to try it.
I was just excited to find a butcher who had goose.
Well, then we get a goose like in February and decide if we like it or not. And if we like it, then we can get it for the following Christmas.
It's a bird. How bad could it be?
Well, there's a very much of a difference between eating like a chicken and eating a pigeon.
Pigeons are smaller.
That's not the only difference.
Anyway,
We're getting back to the...
I've never met a bird I couldn't eat.
That's what she said. It was Corey's 60th birthday and it looked like some characters may not be around to celebrate the 61st. Tim's dad. Leanne has decided to run away from her grief and disappear to France for a bit, but a misplaced charger and a flossing preteen contrive to make her change her mind. The Rebel Alliance set up camp outside a brewery to stop the bulldozers of progress making way for a skyscraper, forcing Ken to grab a couple of plastic bags from the co-op and become Weatherfield's tank man. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Peter's reluctance to trust Carla moves on to overcome this by proposing to her and then scooting off together to the ever-popular Kefalonia. Daniel is ushered out of every home on the street. Yasmin's house roof is comfortable but slippery. Kev mispronounces Kirkcaldy. DS Fringe believed a Yasmin all along, she says.
Uh-huh.
Kathy insults a corpse. Our moment of the week was Imran saying no further questions to Tim's dad, and our boring moment of the week was Rita and Audrey's cursory reference to the 60th anniversary. Also, 2 years ago, Kathy ran over Daniel, which I thought was worth mentioning.
Happy anniversary to Kathy running over Daniel.
And that was Coronation Street and the talk of the street this time last year.
Do we have a special celebratory like toy car and Daniel doll that we or are we just saving all of our celebratory excitement for Brick Day?
Yeah, Brick Day's this week.
It's Brick Day this week.
Brick Day's Wednesday.
Happy Brick Day!
What are you going to be doing on Chesney Itself and Face with Brick Day?
I'm going to be rolling my eyes and shaking my head at you.
Yeah, I have plans.
He
Shall
does.
we dive in with their simple plans? But they're plans nonetheless. Yeah,
They're plans
yeah,
that-
it's still up there.
They are plans that took time and thought and money and shipping to put together, though.
Yeah, very little of all.
Yeah, but still.
It was something that I could have been doing something else.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shall we dive in,
I
Medea?
suppose that's true
For anything
everything.
like what we're doing right now.
Right. Yes. Let's get it on.
Our first storyline this morning is Summer Lovin'.
Oh God, do we have to start with this?
Yep. On Monday, preparations are underway for the ice ball. Summer thinks Snowball would have been a better name, but Amy thinks that's too cliche. Summer has got the inflatable snowman fixed, but it's cagey when questioned about how she got it home.
Right, which is
Max
weird.
spots.
Which is weird that she would be cagey about that because it was just somebody giving you a ride home. So why would you be cagey about that? Why are you so weird? You weird child.
But she has been weird about it,
She is.
which makes me think that she knows that this is not information that she wants to share. So she knows that getting a ride home from a teacher is...
But if she did share it, then none of this would have happened.
Well, maybe.
Because this is what puts the bug in Max's ear to be filming very carefully for the rest of the day.
Well, he's already got the bug in his ear.
Right, because he knows, because he
He
filmed
saw
it.
Yeah.
Ice balls are a thing, Summer. If you take a snowball and you dunk it in water, it becomes an ice ball. And then you can really do some damage to your nemesis across the street.
My dad used to go into Matheson's, the baker's, in St. Hensmuir, and would ask for a donut. And the woman would say, "Do you want an iced one?" And my dad always said, "I hope they're all nice." And then they all laughed.
Remember the winter that it was so cold that you wet down a Michigan State University t-shirt and then went outside for less than a minute and it froze completely?
Yeah, and then you tapped it and snow came out.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on to the second paragraph of my
It's
notes.
60 degrees today.
Later, Max tries to probe Summer for more information about her mysterious method of
But
getting
not
home.
like that.
And then looks on concerned when he overhears her defending Daniel to Amy and Asha, who think he's a dull geek who was punching with Daisy. But not like that.
But it is true.
Max is filming Amy's introduction to the ice ball. Daniel comes in and, uninvited, he rubs Summer's arm when she takes a dizzy turn. That was like mistake number 6 for him, I think. He tells her to eat something, rubs her arm again, and then wanders off, impressed with the decorations. Summer smiles, and Max has caught most of this on camera.
Yeah.
Now, Asha is being interviewed for Max's video, and then Daniel turns up again, and in the background he slips something into Summer's purse. He and Summer chat in the background about
Bag.
her diabetes, and all of this is, of course, caught on camera. He confirms he'll be in attendance of the ice ball this evening. At home, Max is editing the ice ball video and becomes very concerned when he sees Daniel sneak something secret into Summer's bag, because when it was getting filmed, Max had just left the camera running and had nipped
Right.
off for a shite.
Yes.
And there's a little joshing between Shona and Max here, where Shona thinks that, Max has got the hots for Summer,
Yes.
la-di-da-di, up a tree. Asha, Summer and Amy go off to fix their faces, leaving their stuff unattended.
And change. They're going to change in that classroom that has windows all the way around it.
And then Max arrives to go through Summer's bag to see what Daniel put there, assuming that it's still there, of course. And what do you know? He comes across the handwritten love poetry from last week.
and chucks the energy bar, which was hilarious.
He chucks it.
Yeah, he takes that out, looks at it, and chucks it.
Oh, he does.
Just like assuming that couldn't possibly be the thing that Daniel put in. I found that a nice touch.
Right. So the ice ball is banging.
But not like that.
There's at least 6 people dancing.
And weirdly, there's a kid wearing a parka.
Yeah, I didn't write anything about him.
Amy has the hots for the kid in the parka.
She thought the ice ball was to celebrate the efforts of Ralph Fiennes, the Arctic explorer.
Something like that.
It was
Amy-
quite a niche joke, but yeah,
Amy has the hots for this kid.
he was essentially Kenny from South Park.
She thinks Daniel's a dork. Of course, he's her uncle, so, that makes sense. But she has the hots for this guy.
The Parker guy, the
The
Kenny
parka guy.
Amy loves Kenny. Don't know why that's so funny.
But it
so-
is.
So yeah, the deputy, I forget her name, she's circulating the ice ball while Max is getting loaded on vodka. It's always vodka, and it's always neat. There's
Because
nothing worse than drinking neat vodka.
vodka's clear and odorless.
It's not odourless. It smells of vodka.
Yeah, but it doesn't smell in your breath.
Oh, I think it does. Max approaches Daniel and accuses him of abusing his position. He has the confidence that the cheap vodka is giving him.
Yes.
What the actual fuck are you talking about, Daniel asks. Max accuses Daniel of sleeping with Summer and claims he has
What?
proof, calling Daniel a perv for good measure. So Max storms off, so Daniel goes to speak with Summer about Max's accusations. I don't know why he does this.
No, I don't know either, because Summer just makes things worse.
Much worse.
Yeah, and this isn't the only time she makes things worse.
But it's okay for her to make things worse because she's a child.
Right.
He's the adult here.
Right. He's the one who should be addressing this. It was like taking both of them out and saying, he is saying this. Why is he saying this?
Exactly.
And monitoring this.
And maybe making the deputy head aware of it at this point.
Right. Yes. But, again, Daniel's new to teaching. We've got to remember that. This is...
Which means that the lessons that he's learned in teaching should be fresh in his head.
Yeah, but some things they don't teach you.
Oh, I think they very much warn you about this at teacher training.
Right, yeah, but there are aspects of it that you kind of can't be taught.
All right, so that the lessons that they learn aren't specific to an ice ball.
Well, no, I mean...
Things to do if a female student propositions you at an ice ball probably isn't a lesson that he's learned.
Right, and also that's not what happens.
No. So Max storms off, so Daniel goes to speak with Summer about Max's accusations. This needs to be nipped in the bud. So Summer goes off to speak with Max, and Daniel allows this to happen. And Summer's speech to Max does little, if anything, to help matters. She tells him to keep his nose out of matters that he can't possibly understand.
Ugh.
And then calls him a pathetic little boy.
Yeah.
None of that's helping.
You know what? This is like, remember in The Sound of Music when he talks Ralph into giving him the gun so that they can escape, and he gives him the gun, and they're about ready to leave, and then the captain says to Ralph, "You'll never be one of them," and that's what sparks Ralph to start blowing on the whistle and calling all the other Nazis to come and catch the Von Trapps, which doesn't happen because the nuns have already sabotaged the Nazis' jeeps, but, still. People just need to stop.
This sounds like None Home Alone.
People need to stop saying dumb things to adolescent boys.
Right. We'll just stop adolescent boys entirely.
If we stopped adolescent boys entirely, you wouldn't exist.
No, well, you just skip that bit. At the ice ball, the deputy is winding it up as Billy and David show up for some reason. Max
To pick up their children from the ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody else's parents turn up.
Well, I'm sure they do. They're just not important enough to be on screen.
Max is pretty pissed by this point and he hooks Daniel, calls him a pedo for sleeping with Summer, and then sends his video to everyone at the party. His practice in trying to hook David seems to have worked. Billy seems to be taking the accusation seriously and demands to know what's going on, while David is oddly quiet that his son has just assaulted a teacher. The whole party are thrilled at this development, and then a bucket of pig's blood falls on Summer's head. And that brings us on to this week's Hard Debate.
Bum, 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 bum.
The ice ball turned out to be a bit of a bust, with Max's allegations of Daniel's impropriety with Summer giving the evening something of a sour taste. But which movie's influence could have rescued proceedings best? Mean Girls, Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, or Carrie?
I think I chose Carrie.
See, I was surprised that Mean Girls didn't score as highly as it did, because I think getting the Plastics up to do their little Jingle Bell Rock routine would have just lightened everyone's spirits.
That would have worked, yeah. But Pig's Blood would have been funnier.
Back to the Future, you'd have had that fucking show off Marty McFly playing horrible, horrible music.
Right, and then somebody attempting to rape your mom in a car.
Right, and then Teen Wolf would have been, again, Michael J. Fox getting incredibly hairy, which I think would have been a distraction. But the voting was this. Mean Girls got 13.2%, Teen Wolf 18.4%. I'm so surprised by that. Back to the Future 21.1%, but Carrie romped home 47.4%.
Yes, it's all about those dirty pillows.
It's official. On Wednesday, Ken and Adam were round seeing Daniel, who doesn't think he needs a solicitor. Ken and Adam spell out the worst case scenario. You could go to jail for this, but Daniel insists that he's innocent. Meanwhile, Billy has chosen the community garden to chat with Summer to see if she's been pegged off Daniel. She insists it was innocent. Then Paul appears and makes matters worse by jumping off the deep end here.
Do you remember a time when Paul wasn't angry?
No. No.
When he was just like a sweet, friendly brother of Gemma and lover of Billy.
He just... I mean, we haven't seen him for ages.
Yeah.
But what I remember of him was he was very angry.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because of the whole Kel stuff.
And Todd stuff.
Yeah.
He was super angry about that.
Yes. And he was rightfully angry about those two things. But this one, it's just not.
Well, he sees his own past in
Right,
any
yes.
situations that are similar to this.
Right.
But maybe ask a few questions
Yeah.
before you...
Jump to conclusions.
Right. Max has been interviewed by the deputy. David thinks that they should be thanking Max for his intervention. Why is David suddenly a super asshole?
What do you mean suddenly?
Well, he's always been an asshole, but now he's just been a super asshole. That they should be thanking Max... What?
Right, for uncovering this dirty deed done dirt cheap.
Max thinks Daniel has it in for him, but it never bothered him until he started grooming Summer. He admits to seeing Daniel put something in Summer's bag, which is how he found the poem. The deputy's interview with Daniel is intertwined with this, where he admits to knowing Summer outside of school, and he labels Max as a troubled teen. He claims to know the Browning poem by heart and wrote it down to help Summer with her homework, and the thing he put in her bag was an energy bar because of her diabetes. The deputy head thinks that Daniel's actions were ill-judged.
Yes.
Which is true.
Yes.
He's done nothing wrong,
Right.
but he's done lots of things that aren't right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not 100%
I'm sure
right.
he's memorized poems that aren't love poems. I know I have.
Well, the work they were doing was on love poetry.
Yeah, but still, I'm sure something maybe less Elizabeth Barrett Browning-y.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was like a comparison between the romantics and Shakespearean stuff. It wasn't it? That's what he said to the cop later on.
Don't get me started on that. The deputy is talking to someone now. Paul and Billy are there. She doesn't want Mr. Osborne, into trouble. Paul accuses Daniel of grooming her, and Billy shushes him. Summer confirms that
Why
Daniel...
is Paul there?
No. Yeah.
Are he and Billy getting back together? And
He
this
has
has just
no business
been
being there.
happened, behind the scenes, and so that's why he's there?
No, they're not back together.
What? Where's... If it's just Summer's three dads, why is it Todd there as well instead of heading out business cards in the bistro?
No idea. No, Paul is there to get angrier. That's the only reason that he's there. Summer confirms that Daniel was appropriate at all times. Back home, Billy continues to rip Paul a strip, saying there's no evidence that Daniel is a pedo, which is strange because Billy was very quick to believe this.
Yeah, it was kind of weird how quick he believed this at the ice ball.
Paul remembers Daniel's shifty behaviour last week by not letting him into the flat, and Summer would defend Daniel, wouldn't she? Billy tells Paul that he's seeing what he wants to see.
And he says, "How dare you? Why would I want to see this?"
Mm-hmm. Later, Paul apologises to Summer for his rage and tells her that he'll be moving out of Daniel's flat. She doesn't want to talk about it, but he does. He begs her to be honest. She seems to think that if Daniel wasn't her teacher, they'd have totally been getting it on. Their connection was electric.
Oh.
Yeesh. She fell for him, and he felt the same way, she says. Paul calls this textbook grooming, and she storms off, so Paul calls the cops. And I have to say that if I'd heard Summer say that,
Yeah.
you'd be calling the cops as well, I think.
And if I had known that Daniel had somebody in the flat that he was hiding at some point, and I didn't know it was Daisy,
Right.
yeah, this would seem like something to call the cops about.
But now this whole thing about Daniel and Daisy keeping their relationship secret,
Is even stupider.
it's stupider, but now it makes sense why they were doing it.
Right.
It still doesn't make sense.
No.
But now we know why they were doing it.
Yes.
So the cops arrive at number 1 and take Daniel down to the station. And at the station, Daniel explains his extended relationship with Summer and how she was a babysitter and how he was helping her uni application. And he gets snarky with the cops until Adam tells him to wind his fucking neck in. The cop doesn't think this is a usual relationship for a teacher to have with a pupil, but Daniel says it's all above board. The cop asks about the poetry, and Daniel gets snarky again.
Right.
I'm only doing my job, says the cop.
So am I, says Daniel.
Haha, bravely.
Yes.
Brave Daniel.
I'm trying to educate this country's youth about Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Yeah. So you left your love poetry in a bag. Well, I think Elizabeth Barrett Browning would have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Just put him in jail now and throw away the key. And that, what was it? I was teaching comparisons between blah, 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 and William Shakespeare, and the cop's
Yeah.
just like, what? And I guess you don't want him to repeat that, officer. Adam's probably fucking embarrassed by even being there.
Yeah.
So,
At least he has Adam with him this time.
yeah. The cop asks about the woman hiding in his flat, and Daniel knows this is Paul's doing. Daniel explains about Daisy, and that concludes the questioning. Daniel thinks his life on the street and his career are now officially fucked. A female cop is interviewing Summer, asking if she was the one hiding in Daniel's flat. Summer is upset to know that there was a woman hiding in Daniel's flat that wasn't her, and admits it wasn't her. Back on the street, Daniel shouts at Max for trying to destroy his life. This is a living hell! David has Max's back, and we learn that Max has been suspended from school. Then Paul happens along, who tells Daniel to stay away from Summer. He's done a number on that poor girl.
Yes, he has. And the number is 3.
There are much worse numbers that it could have been.
It's a magic number.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Daniel goes home, telling Tracy and Steve that he's finished. Ken is in on this now, and he says energy bar a lot,
He does say energy bar a lot.
to the point where Tracy has to say, stop saying energy bar.
But, he's right. He's like, you didn't bring snacks for the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is why this is suspect, is because you're focusing so much energy on this one student when you have other students, one of whom is your niece.
Right, he tells Daniel that by giving Summer preferential treatment, he's made a huge mistake because now it looks like favouritism. Tracy thinks that she needs to have a word with Max and Summer, and she storms off.
Oh, Tracy.
Ken sends Daniel after her, but it's too late because everyone involved in the story is standing out on the street for some reason.
Yes, they are.
She tells Reverend Liar that she wants him and Oxbridge out of her flat. So she's calling Billy Reverend Liar, and she's calling Summer Oxbridge. Then she calls Paul a conspiracy theorist and reckons he's probably an anti-vaxxer too. Paul doubles down and reckons Daniel really is a nonce. Summer tells him that she hates him and runs away, and Daisy is on the other side of the street observing all of this.
Yes.
Seeing Tracy in full
Tracy mode.
battle mode.
God, I've missed that.
It's so
I have
good.
missed this, Tracy.
It was so good.
Oh, she's so good in this and in another storyline where she's equally very, very, very much Tracy.
She doesn't particularly like Daniel. This is the best thing. She doesn't really like him, but it's family.
Right, yeah.
So-
You can hate your family. You can
So
despise your family, but when somebody else comes after your family, you go after the person for attacking your family that you hate.
Oh, shut it, Oxbridge. That was just superb. So Daisy tracks a sobbing Summer down to the community garden. Summer knows that she got it wrong, but Daniel's encouragement meant everything to her. She asks if Daisy was the one hiding in the flat, and Daisy confirms it. Summer promises nothing happened, but wishes that one day it would have done. The way that she saw it was after school, the two of them
Right.
would have got together and would have spent the rest of their lives reading love poetry to each other.
And the thing is, that could happen.
Oh, that could still happen.
That
Yeah.
could totally happen. In like 15 years.
5.
Because look at Kevin Abbey. That's about the same age difference there.
Daisy stops in to see Daniel, and if he thinks she's there to sympathise, he's in for a shock. She's amazed that he didn't realise that Summer had a crush on him. Laughing at his jokes was the first giveaway,
Right?
but it must have been a bit flattering. He blurred the lines by letting her into his private life and bonding with his kid. And Ken thinks Daisy is right.
Yes,
Daniel
because
has
Daisy
blurred
is
the
right.
lines with his good intentions, and Daisy, as much as it pains me to say this,
Haha.
is absolutely spot on here.
Yes, and she's very, very good here. And she was also very, very good with Summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was very gentle with Summer and let Summer talk and stuff when, you know, if Summer had been her age, if she was an actual rival, she would have been very snarky.
Daisy would have clawed her eyes out.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It's always fun to see Daniel being brought down
Yes.
by someone who he thinks of as his intellectual
Inferior.
inferior,
Yeah.
and also being brought down by his dad,
Yes.
whose ideas and notions are way out of date.
Right.
There's Ken, who he's been through this before.
Right.
He assaulted
A
a
student.
pupil, lost his job. He's been through this. He knows how to properly behave.
Right.
And a lot of these things haven't really changed all that much
Right.
from when he was a teacher. And there's Daisy, who knows how Summer's mind works.
Right. Yes.
And they're both in positions of knowledge that Daniel doesn't have, but thinks he knows everything. Mm-hmm. So it is a total bring them down to earth with a bang sort of thing, where he realises now,
Absolutely.
holy shit, what on earth was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Because she basically could come and go as she pleased out of his flat,
Right.
all because of his babysitting
Right.
crises.
And helping her with her Oxford thing. Oh God, how many times does she mention how this is going to ruin her chances with Oxford again?
Nine times.
It's like it's like before, where with Max's video, she wasn't concerned about the feelings of Jenny and Carla. She was worried about her Oxford application.
Yeah.
Now she's not all that worried about Daniel. I mean, she's a little worried about Daniel and herself, but she's really worried about what's Oxford going to say about this.
Mm-hmm.
Oxford's going to say nothing about this.
Well, I'd still maintain that she's not going to Oxford. I don't think that's going to happen. I think she's going to end up going to the version of Weatherfield Community College.
Well, it'll be the University of Manchester, won't it?
Well, maybe.
Just like Amy will probably be going to the University of
It
Manchester.
will get there. On Friday, Max has been called in front of the deputy head. He has prepared notes, which David and Shona aren't too pleased about. Billy and Summer pass, and Max asks how she is, and she tears him to pieces for the humiliation. Stay away from me,
Once
she
again, making things worse by opening her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, David and Shona have already told Max not to say anything.
Yeah, David's face when he starts to talk to her is just a picture.
Yeah, it is.
At school, David and Shona insist that Max is dead sorry and that, but Max looks nonplussed, and when questioned, he says that he only wishes that he'd hit Daniel harder. So the deputy will make a recommendation that teachers aren't safe with
Right.
Max around, so
No Max.
they're going to permanently exclude him, or that's what they're thinking about doing. And Max does not look like he gives a solitary fuck.
He really doesn't.
Adam drags Daniel out for a drink. Daniel's blaming himself for all this mess, and as they walk by number 8, David shouts abuse, accusing Daniel of getting Max excluded. Well, he did punch a teacher.
Right, yes.
Adam threatens him with legal action. Bring it on, says wee man syndrome David. And later, Daniel buys Adam a latte because he's found out that the police have dropped the nonce charges. That was over and done with pretty quickly.
Yes.
And in Nina's roles, Billy is trying to make Paul feel better about leaping off the deep end now that Daniel's got off by talking about kids that he's christening called Lilibet.
Yeah.
This is the 4th one in the week.
Right. Apparently there are lots of Lilibets being born.
In comes Daniel and Paul apologises. Daniel tells Paul that he did the right thing but is disappointed that Paul thought so badly of him. And they seem to make amends over a slice of cake when Paul points out, that he just saw so many similarities in
Right.
his own upbringing.
Right. And that was nice. It was nice to see them mend fences there for Daniel to say, if I were in your position, I probably would have done the same thing. And Paul to say, look, I'm really sorry. It was just, too similar to what I went through and everything. And I went off the deep end and I made assumptions.
And he didn't shout.
No. Yes.
But later,
Back to good Paul.
David is shouting, and he's shouting abuse at Daniel on the street, asking if he's off on the pool at the youth centre tonight. That's not funny, says Daniel. That was kind of funny. Even if he's got away with it this time, it's just a matter of time before Daniel is on a register rather than taking one. Shit sticks, says David. And that's as far as we get with that this week. I don't know why David is it a family thing that he's sticking up for Max, even though he knows that Max is a bit of a wrong-un these days?
I think he's just kind of relieved that he's got somebody else to yell at besides Max.
Because it seems to me that David is behaving in a way that he thinks people will expect him to behave.
Right.
I don't know that he actually feels or thinks any of these things that he's shouting out, but I
Right.
think that he thinks other people think
Right.
that's how he should be behaving.
And also, I think he's really bothered by the way Max is behaving and the way everybody else on the street is kind of like, yeah, well, you were just as bad at your age. The way Kirk
These
laughed
are the
at
few
him.
reminders of that, yeah.
Yeah, the way Kirk laughed at him the other day. I think it's just all of that stuff has been piling up and now he has an outlet for it. Because he was already unhappy with Daniel being mean to Max.
Mm-hmm.
And, it doesn't matter that the other teachers are probably saying the same thing Daniel is. They don't live on the street.
That's a good point, though, because when you think back to how this story really started, Max was looking for tuition, or David was looking for tuition for Max. Daniel wasn't interested in doing it at all, but the very same episode, I think, or certainly that week, Daniel's given Summer private tuition.
Right.
So really from the start of this, there's no part of this storyline where Daniel isn't doing something that's kind of
Icky.
icky and inappropriate with Summer. Do you think that this is the end of Daniel's teaching career?
No. No, because the charges have been dropped. I think he may have to go teach elsewhere.
Right.
And that
Yeah,
may
that's
not,
what I'm thinking.
And that may not be a bad idea. It was probably not a great idea to be teaching, the children of the people around you.
Yeah, this
and
is
your
why
niece.
doctors aren't doctors in their hometowns and
Right.
all that sort of thing. Yeah. All right, moving on to our next storyline this morning is So Fucking Disgrace. On Monday, still ignoring the fact that Glory is living with him, Ed and Aggie are with Adam to draft up a custody document. Adam thinks a letter signed by Grace should be sufficient, and he promises to draft one up inside the hour. And sure enough, Aggie has a letter, and Ed has got his hands on 20 grand in cash.
Sure.
For as long as they've been on the street, they've been skint.
Right.
And they've had cash flow problems, and they're buying houses, and now they're not making the money out of the house. And
Well, I guess now they can make money out of the house because Grace is gone.
yeah, but I don't know if he's getting 20 grand like that. Anyway, Aggie
Maybe
now
he got it.
decides.
Maybe he got it from Ronnie.
Aggie now decides to worry what Michael is going to think, but Ed reckons the wording of the letter should clear everything up. And later, Grace has arrived. I was expecting some drama here, but nope. She just signs the letter, pockets the cash, and leaves without saying goodbye to Glory, promising this is the last they'll see of her. She's obviously ill.
She is crying. She is sad.
There's an illness here. There's a mental illness here that I think we're not interested in examining, I think.
We knew that from the very start when she was passing somebody else's baby off as hers.
Right.
Come on.
But we're just not investigating it.
No.
No one seems to give a fuck.
No.
Just make Glory happy, she says. Then Michael comes in and instantly knows that something is wrong. Ed and Aggie explain Gracie's struggles and how she's moved away, leaving the baby with them. Michael can't let her do that, so rushes off to change her mind. And he catches her on the way to the tram station and tries to talk her round. But Grace says this is her decision and it's final. She wants a fresh start, and Glory is better off without her. But she can't turn round and look at him for the longest time.
No.
And again, as she said, she's crying as she's saying this to him. Back home, Michael doesn't know how this is for the best, as Aggie says that Glory will grow up knowing that her mother didn't want her. Focus on the now, says Ed. In other words, let's worry about that later.
Right,
he
yeah.
wants Michael to be happy now.
Right, yeah. Who knows what the future will bring? Let's not worry about what this wee baby is going to think years down the road.
Yeah. On Wednesday in the morning, Glory has been crying for 3 seconds and Michael insists it's because she's missing Grace.
Which is
Just
not
ridiculous.
true.
He takes her out for a walk, leaving Ed to wonder if they're acting a bit hasty here. Oh, no, you fucking don't, says Aggie, who reminds him of his gung-ho approach in the last few days. This was
Yeah.
all his idea.
right.
Michael takes Glory to Dina's Rolls, where he chats with Bernie, and it comes out that Aggie was concerned with how Grace was raising his daughter, thanks to the whole line about the CCTV thing
Right.
that Michael had no idea of until now.
Right, yeah. Why they didn't lead with that, it makes no sense to me. She left because she realized that she was a bad mother. She left her alone with the CCTV and went out drinking. So it was either she leave or we call the cops.
Yep. Oh, and she also bought a sofa that she immediately sold to Bernie.
Yeah.
Maybe mention that as well, because that's still pretty fucking low. Anyway.
That has
But-
nothing to do with Grace, though. Or Glory.
No, but it has plenty to do with Grace. Back home, Michael confronts Ed and Aggie asking when they were going to tell him about Grace being a shit mum. Aggie doesn't apologise for anything and shows Michael the letter that Grace has signed. Still no mention of the money though.
No. Or the fact that she was blackmailing them
Right.
with the house.
Later, Michael takes Glory to one side to tell her that her mother does love her. Are you sure? Asks Glory. Definitely, says Michael. Nice one, says Glory, and gives him a thumbs up. And that's as far as we get with that story this week.
And then she immediately puts that thumb in her mouth. Because she's a baby.
Yeah.
What do you think happened here? Did the show just realize that Michael is better, that if Grace and Michael aren't getting back together, that Grace is just kind of a character that's just run its course and they need to get rid of her so that Michael can find happiness elsewhere?
Yeah, I think as soon as Michael knocked back Grace,
Yeah.
there's no point to that anymore. There's the baby,
Right.
but there's no point having Grace there, because what else is Grace doing?
Well, see, and that's the thing. They could have had Grace doing lots of other things besides neglecting her baby and drinking with Bernie.
Right.
And
changing the character at the drop of a hat.
Right. Yeah. Because she had a job, one assumes, somewhere, right? She had to have some sort of education, a friend group. Although I think a lot of her friends shunned her when she tried to pass off their baby as hers and all that weird stuff.
Right.
But you could have potentially done stuff with this character. And now, just like with the lesbians, we have one less person of color on the street, that we could have done something with.
Well, we did the same with Natasha.
Right, yeah.
Let's get rid of the mothers.
Yeah.
Don't know.
This is a continuing. Is Coronation Street run secretly by Disney? Is that what happened here? Has Disney bought ITV? I wouldn't put it past them, but still,
Well,
like this whole getting rid of mothers thing is just it's kind of icky at this point.
I don't think that we needed to have Michael and Grace together forever.
No.
But we could have had them together for a spell and,
Right.
and see what happens. I have a feeling that Grace was probably more popular with the audience than some of the Baileys. I think maybe keeping her around was maybe a good thing. I
And
think
this means we get no resolution from that whole supermarket racism thing.
right. And no real resolution from the blackmail thing either, other than
No.
that she's left.
Right.
But it still remains secret.
Right. Yeah. And there aren't an awful lot of single women on the street, and we've just gotten rid of 2 of them.
Right.
Disney has secretly bought ITV. Pass it on. Let's start that rumor.
I would have. Michael's not doing anything. And Michael hasn't been doing anything for a while.
long time.
Let him be in a relationship with Grace, who we haven't seen really
Very
very
much
much of either.
either.
But having the 2 of them together, it gave Michael somebody to talk to that's not his parents.
Right. And something to do. Because we don't see him at work very often anymore. Because
No.
remember, he works at the Knicker factory.
He's in one of their massive sales department.
Right. Remember when we were hoping that he and Alina were maybe going to get together? And now Alina's gone too. Again, there's so few women on the street
With
now.
child.
Yeah.
She'll die at some point and Tyrone has to go and pick up the
Pick
kid.
up this baby from Romania?
Yes.
Yes.
Moving on then. Our next storyline is Birthday Boy, Mummy's Boy. On Monday, Fizz comes home for lunch to find Mimi feeding Phil with 2 L's. Mimi is keen to get cracking on Phil's birthday celebrations but insists on speaking French and suggesting a violinist for the occasion.
While stuffing deviled eggs down Phil's throat.
I'll just go to back him up no end. Fizz pretends that she needs to get back to work and rushes out of her own house. At the factory, Fizz is complaining about Mimi to Sally and Beth, and then Mimi, who doesn't work at the factory, appears at the factory. Mimi is surprised it isn't as hideous as she thought it was going to be, and as she passive-aggressively passes comment, she seems to make a friend in Sally due to their shared interests in egg-coloured paint. She's also ordered some party dresses for Fizz and the girls, she says. That's why she's going into a place of work.
Right, yes, to tell her that she's bought her a party dress. And to insult her place of work for no reason.
Right.
There's no reason for her to insult the Knicker factory. Fizz isn't the only one who works there, and Fizz doesn't own it.
I loved how Sally and her seemed to click, though. That was great.
That was hilarious.
Back home, when Mimi has arrived with the dresses, they're predictably hideous, especially the one that she gets for Fizz, who is literally speechless.
God, that was, because the little girl dresses, I imagine Ruby would like it. We don't get to see Ruby in hers. We only get to see Hope. But that dress that she put Fizz in is just so not Fizz.
No. Hope hates her new dress and wants to kill Mimi. Mimi tells her she's wearing it or she's not going to the party.
And Hope says
doesn't give
fine.
a fuck. I'm not going to the party then. Fizz tells Mimi that she's not going to force Hope to go in something that she doesn't like. And when she looks to Phil with 2 L's for backup, he backs up his mum. Then Tyrone bumps into Fizz at the mulled wine stall at the Christmas market. Fizz complains about Mimi and Phil with 2 L's. The shine has been knocked off him, and now she worries that she's rushed into things with him. Tyrone tells her that Phil is a top bloke, and he lets slip about the Christmas surprise without going into specifics.
Correct.
And this is enough to put Phil back in the good books again. Fizz and Tyrone retire to the Rovers, just as Mimi comes in, passing comment on the pair of them and the state of the Rovers before heading off for a shite. How the fuck do you put up with that, says Tyrone. And then Fizz gets home and Phil with 2 L's spidey senses tell him that something's up. He understands that Mimi can be a bit full on sometimes. Fizz wishes that she could do something special for the girls, pretending that she doesn't know about Phil's plans. On Wednesday now, the gloves are off between Fizz and Mimi. Something's happened between Monday and Wednesday because they're just blatantly hate each other, right?
Well, Mimi was already pretty blatant.
Yeah, she was kind of It was masked. It was a little masked.
It was not masked. She was insulting everything Fizz loves.
Mimi slags off the cooked breakfast that Fizz has made, and Fizz mentions Mimi's bingo wings. Mimi has experience of galas, dinners and balls. She's handled her share of them all. And she worries about Fizz being able to cope with
Much
the
like Nancy
responsibility
Reagan.
of the cake delivery. At the bistro, the cake people have fucked up the order and it's on its way to the Viaduct Brasserie. This one's in Leeds. So Tyrone steps up and goes off to pick it up. And at the bistro, Mimi blames Fizz when it looks like the cake hasn't arrived, just as Tyrone arrives with the cake. He blames a spill of strawberries on the motorway for the delay. Apparently it caused a bit of a jam.
Ha ha! Ha 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 ha! Ho ho ho!
Fizz enjoyed that one. Mimi unveils the cake and...
It's hideous.
Oh my fucking god.
It's a chihuahua?
It has a picture of a... It looked like her teddy. It looked like a chihuahua version of her teddy. It's missing teeth. It's kind of cockeyed. The dog looks like it's needing
Got
put
bulgy
down.
eyes.
Right.
Yes.
Apparently, it's a perfect likeness of Phil's Neddy, the family dog. Fizz is very appreciative of Tyrone's efforts, and she invites him to the party later.
Right.
I think as backup.
Yeah. And this is when we get to the point where I feel completely justified in thinking that Mimi is a bit of a hyacinth bouquet.
Yeah.
That she talks a good game, but she has no taste.
Yeah.
I mean, we already knew that because of the hideous dresses, but still.
I find her to be an amalgam of so many characters. She's Hyacinth's Bouquet, definitely.
Yeah.
She's a bit Penelope Pitstop. She's a bit...
Oh, wash your mouth out. She's nothing like Penelope Pitstop.
She's a bit Dame Edna Everage.
Okay, well, there.
She's a bit... Remember that character out of Friends? The Monica and Phoebe's friend that they cut out? And she comes in with a English accent and she tries to dance in front of Chandler.
Oh, yeah.
She's a bit her as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
And others.
Yes.
Mimi has deliberately told Fizz the wrong time, so she turns up a little late at the bistro for the party. No harm done though, she gives Phil his present. It's a photo of the family. Mimi's present to Phil is the announcement that she's moving to Weatherfield, and Debbie faints.
Yeah, and, Phil is talking about how much he loves the picture when Mimi interrupts because she has to be the center of attention.
Right. Phil's party seems to be Mimi on the mic doing a slideshow for holidays. Fizz can't believe this bag is going to be living in town.
And baby pictures of Phil.
Mimi thinks Fizz is a bit of a sob story. So Tyrone proposes a toast to Fizz just to piss off Mimi. Then Tyrone demands a word with Mimi in the kitchen. So in the kitchen, Tyrone tells her not to move to Weatherfield. His loss has been Phil's gain. Mimi thinks Fizz is hardly the catch of the century. Single mother of two with appalling taste and soft furnishings. Tyrone points out that everyone was happy until she showed up, and he reveals he knows her real name is Beryl because it was on the order for the cake.
Yes.
Mimi marches off to complain to Phil, but everyone has heard this confrontation because Mimi's mic is still live. Oh, pig's tits, says Mimi, and Phil tells his mum to show Fizz respect. Fizz thanks Tyrone for having her back. Back home, Phil with two L's apologises for being a mummy's boy to Fizz. He mistook Mimi's bullying nastiness as just top bants.
Right.
He's sorry for being such a horrible coward, and Fizz is happy to put it behind him, but it looks like her head has been turned by Tyrone a little bit.
A wee bit.
On Friday, in the factory, the women are gossiping. Fizz is pleased to announce that Phil's mum has fucked off, so now everything can go back to normal, although she still looks a bit longingly at the mention of Tyrone's name, and I can't believe that we're missing such an obvious trick here. Mimi and Evelyn in the same scene.
I know. I'm really sad about that. I'm really sad because Tyrone does say at one point we should sick Gran on her, but Evelyn is still on vacation.
Sadly,
She's been on vacation for a long time. She missed Roy leaving.
Yeah,
Remember when I was hoping the two of them would become an item?
with Roy's Woody. Now Roy's Woody's gone as well. I can't see
He
him becoming
sold the Woody. That just who
And we're not talking about Roy.
and Roy's Woody.
We have a spin-off podcast for that.
Yes. and what Nancy Reagan did to it.
What? Anyway, I realised I was about to ask a question I didn't want to know the answer to. So, Evelyn with Mimi could have gone two ways, though, right?
They could have been the best of friends or
Evelyn could have
the
clawed her eyes out.
darkest of nemesis.
And I think it would have been funnier if they gone.
It probably would have been.
Because Evelyn's had a nasty word or two to say and think about
Fizz.
in the past.
But now she loves Fizz.
Oh, she
now
does.
she champions Fizz. So maybe not. It would have been funny either way.
I would have loved to have seen it. And I would have loved to have had Evelyn been the one to kind of bring her down a peg or two
Yeah.
if that was what it was going to play out as.
Yeah.
Evelyn to the rescue in that situation.
Right.
But no, it has to be Tyrone because we're kind of moving back into that.
Right.
There's a big old reset button and it's called Christmas, isn't it?
Right.
Where,
We're getting to the love triangle here.
oh, do we have to move through the love triangle phase? Because Phil's not going to put up a fight.
I don't know. Towards the end there, how far are we? We're not done with this yet, are we?
Not yet.
Yeah,
Let's get to the end.
Yes, let's get to the end of
Good
it.
point, Helen. Let's
Thank
do
you.
that. On Friday,
Thank
in the
you.
factory, the women are no, I have said that.
Yes, you've said that bit.
So Fizz comes home to find Phil with two elves has tidied up the house and is baking for some birthday treats.
Yes, because it's Hope's birthday now.
Right. Fizz rewards him by telling him to move back to his own place now that his boiler's fixed, and Phil conceals his disappointment.
Yes.
So later, Phil's packing. Not like that. He wants to cancel the holiday, but Fizz tells him not to. He thinks he's dumped, you see, but Fizz tells him to treat the place like his home. You just can't live here now, fuck off. Outside, Tyrone apologises for shouting at Mimi to Phil. He thinks Phil has been dumped too because he's packing up his car. Phil tells him he can stick up for Fizz, so doesn't need Tyrone's help.
Right.
Then when Phil jumps into his car, Tyrone takes the piss out of Phil for being a terrible mummy's boy, which was quite amusing.
Right, yeah. But we get to see a hint of darkness in Phil.
And there was a little
with the way
black
he's
came over his eyes.
Right,
there.
with the way he's talking to Tyrone now, because remember he's been quite kind and friendly to Tyrone,
Very
but
cordial.
now he's like, look, back off my woman.
Well, Phil may be a horrendous mummy's boy, but he was at the party as well and saw Tyrone. There was the one that was giving kudos to Fizz.
Right.
Tyrone was the one that took his mother to one side to speak to her. So he's standing there in the middle of his own party,
Right.
watching his girlfriend and her ex basically rekindling a relationship here, or seeing that Tyrone cares more about this than he does.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it.
Regardless, we see a darkness in Phil that we hadn't seen before,
We do.
and that's intriguing.
Because he can't be just a nice guy.
Yeah, he can't be perfect all the time. And I mean, we know he's not perfect because he is a mama's boy. Yeah.
Moving on then.
Fizz and I have the same taste in men, I guess.
Well, at least my mother has the good grace to be dead. Can't compete with that. Our next storyline this morning is...
I loved your mother.
Yeah. So did I. Our next storyline this morning is dying to get married. On Monday at the Christmas market, Curtis announces to Steve and Emma that he intends to do the Three Peaks challenge to make up the Oliver Fund to its £100,000 target. Emma is rightly worried about his heart, but he promises to take it easy in that. And I thought this was going to be something that's like months away.
No.
But no, he's apparently training for something that's going to happen at the end of the week.
Right.
Okie dokie then.
Sure.
In the bistro, Todd overhears that Curtis has a heart condition and is going to be running a hilly marathon and gets out his measuring tape. Emma is appalled.
It's hilarious.
Then is it the same chick from the support group that comes in?
Yes.
Because Emma's been on the phone again and talks her into writing an article for the newsletter. Todd is quick to introduce himself to the support group lady. You deal with terminally ill people, I understand. Here's
Yes.
my card. And you know, Monday's Coronation Street, that the best part about it by a mile was that scene with Todd.
Yeah.
Todd was
Moment of the
superb.
week material, I
It was
think.
just superb.
Moment of the week, right there. Todd and his business cards.
It's the way he just casually leans,
Right, yeah. The
gets
way,
his card from his inside pocket.
right, yeah. It's just the way he does it. I mean, we've been missing Todd, and now he's back. handing out business cards, and it's hilarious. He's so much better without Billy.
Oh, 100%.
I kind of love him now.
I honestly was guffawing.
So
And I can't remember the last time I guffawed at anything. I guffawed at that. At the flat, the support group person is interviewing Curtis about his condition, and Emma is seizing the moment. After the interview, Emma decides that she's going to join Curtis in the 3 Peak Challenge too. She's even ordered some matching water bottles. But Curtis, a darkness comes over him a little bit, and he demands that he does this on his own. On Wednesday at number 1, Amy has got her exam results, an A and 2 Bs. Or, it's not actually results, it's a predicted results.
right, yeah. Which,
Tracy can see
how
her.
does that work?
They look at your coursework and they say it. Because some kids can't do exams.
Right.
And they buckle under the pressure.
Yes.
And so to have this as a kind of safety net, I think is, well, you've done well throughout the year, so it still counts for something.
Right.
It's not all fucked up just because you can't do an exam.
Right. Yeah. We have a kid like that.
Tracy can see her on University Challenge, which Steve then does an impression of. Birmingham, Barlow, 6 as the answer to whatever imaginary question Steve has been asking.
What do you think that question was?
If it's 2 times 3 on University Challenge. And then she and Steve argue over where she gets her brains from. Steve says that she spent all her school days upstairs listening to her tapes, so it didn't come from her.
Yes, but she's a Barlow,
Right.
so she's just assuming that she got Ken's brains via osmosis.
Yeah, because
just
you're
being
adopted.
in the room.
As Steve was quick to point out that she's adopted. Amy announces that she'll be studying business at UCL. Tracy knows that Steve doesn't know what that is, and he's surprised to learn that it's London. London?
London.
Steve now starts worrying about money, thinking maybe she could use her inheritance or a student loan, and Tracy puts a kibosh on that and tells Steve that Emma's wedding will just have to be reined in a bit. They've given Curtis and Emma enough, and this I don't think is the first or last time that Tracy doesn't think that money should be spent on this wedding when Curtis could drop down dead at any minute.
No, yeah, and also where she puts one daughter over the other.
Right.
Even though Steve has spent practically no money on Emma her whole life.
Right. On Friday, Emma pops into number 1 to invite everyone to the bistro to say cheerio to Curtis ahead of his 3 Peaks Challenge, because that's going to happen this week. Tracy brings up Amy's uni fees, and so Steve runs away to buy milk. And then back at the flat, Curtis's doctor calls him at home to try and talk him into sectioning himself or going to therapy or doing something, when Emma comes home and he pretends it's news of his referral and hangs up. He's been stressing about the cost of all this treatment. Emma tells him about the bistro lunch and Amy's news. So Steve and Tracy are in the bistro waiting for the others to arrive, Tracy not wanting to throw money at potentially dead Curtis's wedding to Emma, just as Emma and Curtis arrive. Tracy makes Steve talk to Emma, who wants 5 bridesmaids, it turns out. As Amy comes in, she overhears...
Including Tracy.
Yeah, which kind of gives Tracy a little bit of pause. Then as Amy comes in, she overhears Steve and Tracy winding the financial support they can offer to Emma, and Amy is not pleased about this. Emma explains that Curtis wanted a smaller wedding anyway because he doesn't have any friends or family. Tracy calls him a loser. Amy announces that she wants to
To
go...
his face! He's sitting right there! She says this stuff to his face!
She also says that he could drop... But you could drop dead at any minute. So why should we spend any money on you?
To his face!
Amy announces that she wants to go to the University of Manchester now instead, so Emma can still have a great wedding. So talk about the financial situation continues until Amy insists that she'll use her inheritance from Granny Deirdre to pay for the uni, and Emma can have her decent wedding with no quiche after all.
And yet Steve is quite taken with quiche.
He's in the mood for some quiche now.
Yes.
And it turns out the 3 Peaks Challenge thing is right now, and Curtis is getting ready to leave. Amy drops in to visit, and it sounds like Emma is moving to something lower key anyway. So that's all kind of resolved itself.
Right, yeah.
Emma, Steve, Tracy and Amy wave Curtis off at the tram station. Curtis goes on about how good a family he has with him and how much he loves everyone apart from you, Tracy. And Steve wipes a solitary tear from his eye.
Right, and gives him some sort of mint cake energy bar thing that Tracy says has too much sugar in it.
And then the next we see Curtis is round the back of a dodgy looking pub or something, meeting up with an odd looking character who thinks that he's giving a speech or doing something else or
Right,
whatever.
yes.
Wherever he is,
And also he chucks the cake.
wherever he is, there isn't 1 peak, never mind 3,
No.
And that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yeah.
Are we meant to know what he's doing?
I think he's giving a talk to some more people with heart conditions or something.
In a horrible bit of town?
Well, I think he's just waiting for the guy there. I don't know. But this whole thing just makes me think that he does not have facetious disorder. He's just a liar. It's just the marine biologist all over again. This is just lying. This has nothing to do with a mental illness, I don't think. Even though, there was that part where he's yelling at his doctor saying he doesn't need a psychiatrist, that they just haven't found what's wrong with him. But still, there's a deviousness here because that has nothing to do with his illness. Because he could have just as easily said to Emma, "Oh, I'm giving a talk about dying and stuff," instead of saying, "I'm going to do the Three Peaks Challenge to raise more money for Oliver."
Well,
Where's
he
this
gonna get
money
the
going to come from?
Right.
Unless they're going to pay him for doing this thing. Or is this some way to steal money? I don't know. And none of this makes any sense. But then again, it hasn't made sense from the very beginning. They just need to give Emma a happy storyline for once. And nobody is ever going to care about Curtis.
I don't give a shit. I've tried and I just don't give a shit.
He's a wet blanket. He's a drip.
It was a wet weekend.
You can have some fun on a wet weekend, though. A wet blanket, not so much.
Well, not at the start. Yeah, like you, I'm struggling to keep up with what the rules are for Curtis's condition, and what rules are being imposed on this, because does he think he's sick? At the moment, I think he does think he's sick.
But I don't think he does, because why would he lie about doing the Three Peaks thing and then go and do a talk about death and dying and living with an illness and stuff? Why would he lie about that?
But then why would he go to the specialist if he knows that he's not sick? Going to a specialist is going to obviously find nothing wrong with him.
Well, that's why he doesn't want Emma to go with him, and why Emma,
But Emma was there, and it was him.
Because if Emma hadn't insisted that she go with him, he wouldn't have gone. Remember, he didn't want to go to the specialist in the first place. This was all Emma's idea. I think he's just a liar. I think he's just a marine biologist, which is a code for liar.
But then why even bother with the support group thing then? A Fight Club thing?
I don't know. None of this makes any sense. And again, it's just...
Can't we just have him out for revenge? Can't we just do that?
Right. Instead of get a mental illness horribly, horribly wrong, as the show, and in fairness, all shows and all movies have done since time immemorial. Just...
Joker got it right.
No. No, it didn't.
Joker got that right.
No. It's funny. I was listening to my favorite movie review podcast, Linoleum Knife, yesterday, and they kind of felt the same way about Last Night in Soho as we did, that it's kind of icky in the way that it presents mental illness. And somebody wrote in to ask them if they could think of any movies that or television shows that had gotten mental illness right. And these two guys who have studied film, who are notable film critics, could not think of a single one, except for like one in the 1950s that's horrible and kind of gets things wrong, and kind of treats people with mental illness badly, but it gets kind of the boredom and the fact that very little happens on a daily basis for people with mental illness.
I always thought that Jacob's Ladder got it quite right, and then it turned out that he was dead.
Remember when we went to see that horrible movie with what's her name, the blonde, that used to be like the it girl and now
Marilyn
is
Monroe?
not. No. Neither one of us were alive when Marilyn was alive. No, Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. Remember that awful movie about mental illness that they were in?
Oh, the one that everybody loved? Why do we hate movies that everyone loves?
Well, that we were in, and like the other people in the audience were laughing at the people with mental illness at the wrong times, at things that weren't supposed to be funny, that we found horrifying.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Our next storyline.
Stop writing storylines about mental illness.
Our penultimate storyline is Sarah oversharing. On Friday, Sarah is chatting to Adam outside Nina's Rolls. She's worried about a meeting that she has with a lovely guy called Gavin coming up. Apparently he's a right ball breaker. Sound familiar?
You mean Gavin next door?
Turns out that this Gavin character's a bit of a prick. Sound familiar? His assistant and Sarah remembering a child called Harry saved the day, though leaving Sarah and the assistant to have...
Now, is that his assistant or is that his wife?
Well, I don't know.
Who is also part of his business. That's the way it kind of sounded to me, the way she talked to him.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah, there's a, that's me. That's me on the laptop.
Leaving Sarah and the assistant to have an inappropriate conversation about Sarah's ovulation cycles. Sarah thinks that she might be knocked up after all because she was feeling a bit sick.
This is not an inappropriate conversation. Women have these kinds of conversations all the time. This is how I found out I was pregnant with Stelly. I had a very similar conversation with the secretary at the school I was working at the time, where I was like, I've just been feeling so sick. And she's like, ha ha ha, you're probably pregnant. And I'm like, no, of course I'm not. And then I was.
Adam, who doesn't work at the factory, turns up to see Sarah. She tells him that she's late with her doodads and he's excited and tells her to do a test. The test, though, is negative, and also Sarah is shit at algebra, but she wants to try properly, so that was the test. That was a test joke there.
Right, yes.
Adam thinks that I forgot that I'd written that. Adam thinks that he's been trying his best, but the two of them agree to make more of a conscientious effort, starting right now, and they go off to get their hole.
Right, yes. A joke that is always told in storylines like this, isn't it? Where the guy says, well, I've been trying my hardest. It was cute. Don't get me wrong.
It was cute. And I don't know if that was deliberate.
It was cliche, but it was cute.
Sarah's reaction to it looked, when she starts to laugh, it sounded very natural. And I'm not saying that she can't. I'm not saying
she's an actor.
Right, it's impossible for her to portray this, but there's something about it that just looked... When we're talking about chemistry, right?
Right.
And we've talked chemistry that doesn't work in the past quite a lot in this podcast. This is a bit of chemistry that I found that worked really, really well.
Yeah, I really like the two of them.
Yeah.
And it was really cute, her talking about the app and him like, oh, that's not very romantic. And then it becomes very romantic, you know, when Adam makes Emma say ding. And Emma's like, ding?
Right.
And he's like, all right, we'll see you later. Bye.
But
that was cute. That was cute.
And I'm going to say that line and that accent works really well. I don't know what you've been doing, darling, but I've been trying my best. Just superb. Absolutely love it.
I haven't heard that in a while.
So is this going to be, I guess, a storyline about
them getting preggers?
Them getting pregnant?
Yeah.
Although...
we haven't had a pregnancy in half a year.
I'm worrying about who this Gavin character is. And I'm also just generally worried why everyone called Gavin in fiction
is a dick.
Is this guy.
Everyone named Gavin in fiction is a dick.
The Gavin in Friends?
Yeah.
He was a dick.
He was a dick.
Is that it?
No, there was another one and I can't remember where he was from. But there was a Gavin who was kind of like a man bun kind of guy in something.
Oh God, yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
And I can't remember what show it was, where there was a man bun Gavin and he was a dick. If you know, please write us. This will be part of Hindsight Corner next week.
Yeah, let us know of any character called Gavin who
is not a dick.
Who is not a dick, but then also tell us some more who are.
Yes.
We've got this guy, and we've got Gavin from Friends.
And we've got the man bun guy, and we've got you.
And I never watched Gavin and Stacey, so I can't talk about that.
No, because it would blur your love for James Corden too much. Because you love James Corden. He's your favorite.
Joker got mental health right. Our final storyline
did
this
not.
morning is Curry Wars. I was going to call this Tim's mum about the house, but I don't think she actually gets a mention.
She does get a mention.
Does she get a mention?
Of course she does. Because Yasmin's going to give her money from the insurance. And Tim talks about her, and that's how we find out that this is what puts the idea that maybe it was insurance fraud because Kelly, yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, then, this is Tim's mum about the house.
Yes, it is.
On Monday, the Nazirs are outside Speed Dial assessing the damage. Sally is passing and is keen to blame homeless Stu for the fire, and Yasmin, with no other option, is forced to agree.
Homeless Stu who's still simmering at the hospital.
Simmering Stu, yeah. Alia fires a look to Zidane. Later, Alia and Zidane catch Hashim outside Speed Dial, checking to make sure that the fire is still flammable. He doesn't give a shit about homeless Stu and reminds everyone that all of this is Zidane's fault for stealing from him and being a shit husband. Yasmin's visiting homeless Stu in hospital. He's got a bit of a cough still, but he's going to be okay. He insists he didn't start the fire. He'd finished up making the curries and he turned everything off. He's absolutely sure of it. And Yasmin, for some reason, gets really angry really quickly.
Right. She reaches her boiling point with Stu.
The homeless Stu, how long were you waiting to say that? Then the homeless
5
Stu
minutes.
won't tell the truth. She's way too aggressive and seems to be shouting at the ghost of Tim's dad here.
Yes, that's absolutely what's happening there.
Alia and Zidane are discussing tactics about keeping Speed Dial when Debbie comes along and admits to taking the van and hiding it behind the bistro to pay him back about the Christmas market pitch. "You fucking idiot," Zidane shouts, and then they go off to see if the money's still there. And money retrieved.
And Debbie says, yes, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm very, very sorry.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't know about the money.
No.
She's just sad about it burning down.
Yeah. Money retrieved, Zidane thinks that they can pay back Hashim and use the insurance money to fix the restaurant now. Yasmin comes home, still furious with that big fat liar homeless Stu. She heads off to bed, leaving Alia to continue to be disgusted with her brother. On Wednesday, the Nazirs are back at Speed Dial. It's safe, apparently. Yasmin is grateful no one was killed, but takes the blame for homeless Stu and wishes that he'd owned up to his part in it. Asha throws more daggers at Zidane. Meanwhile, homeless Stu's explaining his side of things to Kelly the Chin, who's visiting him in hospital.
Right.
She knows how he feels and wonders if Yasmin is still in shock. Homeless Stu thinks his homelessness means that no one will listen to him. He thought Yasmin was different. His cough still hasn't got any better.
No.
At the Christmas
It's a
market,
Bruin.
At the Christmas market, Alia and Zidane discover that Yasmin intends to pay off Tim's mum with the insurance money. A passing Kelly reckons this sounds like an insurance job and just blame the homeless guy. "Shame on you, Yasmin. Shame on you," she shouts.
Right. And people let her do it. People let her yell at Yasmin. Everybody's kind of shocked.
Yeah, everyone just sits and listens to her.
And then afterwards, people are like, oh, the cheek on her.
On Friday, in the morning, Zidane is relieved to learn that the insurance company are still likely to pay out, but Yasmin has had a troubled night thanks to Kelly's comments. I'm surprised that she knew Kelly's name.
Everybody knows Kelly's name.
How?
Because she almost killed Seb.
I don't think Yasmin had anything to do with that.
Right, but everybody knows. You know the street, the gossip on the street.
I prefer it. I would have preferred Yasmin say that wee blonde lassie with the funny eyebrows. She was shouting at me for some reason, rather than knowing Kelly's name right off the top of her head. It just seemed odd.
Well, Tim also calls her Kelly
How does he know her name?
because Faye and Seb were an item.
They're going to have Yasmin having Kelly's phone number next.
Kelly's going to
Anyway.
move in with Yasmin and homeless Stu.
Oh.
They're going to be a family, and it'll be homeless Stu about the house.
Stew for dinner. Then Yasmin suspects Hashim now has been the one behind the fire. Asha and Zidane poo-poo this notion. Don't go about saying anything about Hashim or he'll sue you. Yeah, that's what he'll do. You'll burn your fucking house down.
Yes.
Outside, Hashim chews some more scenery as he nabs Zidane. Turns out that he wants his 50 grand back and he wants insurance money.
All of the insurance money.
What is wrong with you?
He's a short, wee old man. Just knock him down.
Bop him in the nose.
And that was hilarious too, the way he does the whole like car door thing. Like he's some...
Yeah, I should tell the police that you walked into my car or whatever.
Right, yeah.
What?
Be careful before you dent my car and I sue you for that.
Yasmin, Alia and Ryan are talking loudly about the fire insurance outside Speed Dial when the police come along and drag the Nazirs away to talk about the possibility of arson. Yeah, you're arson about in this story, I'll tell you.
Right, but not Zidane because he doesn't have any ownership.
But yeah, he's not, and they've already spoken to Tim's mum.
Right, yeah.
She's off the hook.
Yes.
Alia is interviewed first, and the cops are interested in the financials and ask to have a look at the books. And Alia is released and Zidane is waiting outside. They hope Yasmin can keep her mouth shut about Hashim, but someone has definitely grassed him up. Zidane's bright idea is to literally burn the books. Inside, Yasmin is fielding questions about the debt Tim's dad left her with. Yasmin explains...
Which is ridiculous because the books are on a computer.
Yasmin explains that she paid those debts off. The copper asks Yasmin to talk about her movements, so Yasmin tells him that she did 2 shits and 4.5 peas. Her movements. Okay, moving on then. At home, Alia's panicking, and then Hashim turns up for no good reason, threatens everyone a bit because of the police showing up earlier, and as he's shouting, he clutches his chest and collapses.
I laughed so hard when this happened.
Yep.
I laughed so hard.
Comedy heart attack, Klaxon.
Oh. It was like Sanford and Son. Like every time, I'm coming home, Wheezy. It was so fun. I feel bad. I do because of what happens next. But in the moment, I laughed so hard.
Yeah,
it was
funny.
hilarious.
Call an ambulance, says Zidane. Do the chest thing. Which, he wants Alia to rub her tits into Hashim's face?
No, CPR.
Oh, okay. Call an
The
ambulance.
C in CPR is for chest.
I always thought it was... No. Let's not.
Let's not go there.
Call an ambulance, says Zidane. Well, says Alia. Then Ryan comes in and quickly performs CPR as Alia calls an ambulance and Zidane picks his nose.
Very quickly, let's all remember that this happens on the anniversary of Tim's dad's death.
Yep.
That they kill another old man.
Right.
A bad old man.
Makes a change from my mother. But Ryan is doing... Come on, we're losing it here. So Ryan is doing the CPR, but it's no good. Hashim is dead. The cholesterol from eating all that scenery has finally caught up with him.
And Ryan is having flashbacks of Cormac, who died in front of him of a drug overdose that he tried to do CPR on, and then he died.
Yeah, you're pretty shit at this CPR.
Piss shit CPR there, Ryan. But at least he tried to do something.
So they leave Hashim lying there with his eyes still open and nobody thinks to cover his face or anything.
No.
Ryan thinks that they'll be haunted by their inaction. Alia reminds everyone that a year ago they were standing over Tim's dad's body. She's done with rescuing toxic men. This prompts Zidane to decide to own up until Ryan points out that this still implicates the rest of the family.
Right. And him.
Yeah. Alia, for some reason, puts the TV remote in Hashim's dead hands and suggests staging a robbery. So that seems to be the plan, and Alia throws the speed dial keys into the trunk of Hashim's car. This is the worst idea ever.
And they break down the back door.
Yeah.
To make it look like he broke in. Hoofed.
It's like just the worst idea thought of at the spur of the moment. Where
Right,
we
yeah.
actually did see Alia on her hands and knees putting the keys into Hashim's hand to put fingerprints on them.
Right, yes.
And nobody says, what are you doing?
No.
So the ambulance and the cops show up again, this time looking for Alia and Zidane. Meanwhile, Yasmin is still in the interview room, minus a copper, because he's the one that's off speaking to Alia and Zidane.
Right. Do they have a employee shortage over there or something?
Right.
Where's Craig?
Here's Craig, yeah. Zidane explains vaguely, like Hashim sounded like he thought Zidane was in speed dial and it sounded like he'd started the fire, but he doesn't come out and say it. He just...
Right.
He lets the cops pick up on this, which
Right.
is reasonably clever, I guess. Back home, Zidane is chatting with Alia. He compliments her on her genius plan, and he's even impressed at how Ryan held it together.
Right.
Even Yasmin hasn't aroused any suspicion. We're going to get away with this, he says. But at what cost? Demands Alia. She's finding it hard to live with this on her conscience.
Right, yes.
And that's how we end this week's episodes.
Yes.
I'm glad that Hashem's dead. Because, honest to God, that man was just...
This show does not know how to write gangsters. They're all shit.
Yep.
From Rick the Chin on down, they're all shit.
Yeah, but at least Rick the Chin had something about him. At least Gay Mick had something about
He
him.
had a plant that he talked to.
He stopped beating up Gary to go and get a sandwich. There was bits about him that were really, really... that
Ridiculous
I enjoyed.
and stupid.
But Hashem... You know when your dog eats something that he shouldn't eat, and he's kind of smacking his lip, and he's... What did I just... That's Hashem talking, was like that. It was like, what are you doing? And the longer he was in the show, the more it was happening. That... Oh, just...
The whole door thing.
The door thing was terrible. A few weeks ago when he walked into the camera, that was ridiculous. But you're right, he's supposed to be imposing some kind of threat over Zidane and the situation by being small and fragile looking.
Right, yeah. At least his sons were like big and could beat people up.
Right.
Why not bring your sons with you everywhere? Why not have some goons with you? At least Harvey almost always had goons with him, except for that one time.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's why Jane Danson was able to knock him out with a car, because he didn't have his goons with him to protect him.
Yeah, I'll remind him to put his seatbelt on.
Right.
Oh.
Ay.
So how does this all land then? We have the 50 grand that was in the van Zidane still has.
Right.
But presumably somebody in the family knows that... Well, nobody else in the family knows that the van wasn't stolen.
Right.
So is this a free
And
50 grand that he's
also-
got?
And also, nobody's going to come sniffing around because they don't want to be accused of
Being involved
being
in the
involved
whole...
in all
which I
of
can
this.
kind of believe.
Yeah.
So is this 50 grand, the 50 grand
The
that...
sons are probably relieved he's dead.
Right, finally got rid of the old guy.
Right. They're like Prince Charles will be eventually.
But this 50 grand... This is a replacement of the 50 grand that Alia lost a couple of months ago before
No,
Zidane
this
came
is 50
back.
grand that Hashim brought
Yes, I
to
know that.
launder.
Yes, but this replaces the 50 grand that Alia lost.
But Zidane already replaced that with money he stole from Hashim, which he's already laundered.
So it's just the same 50 grand moving from account to
Could we
account.
think of a different number than 50 grand?
Please. So that...
So they're going to have to
That still exists.
pay Tim's mum out of this 50 grand because they're not getting the insurance money
You don't think they're getting insurance money? Why not?
because the cops are suspicious.
Yeah, but they don't suspect the Nazirs. They suspect Hashim now.
That one cop does not believe Zidane's story at all.
Doesn't matter. I think the insurance is going to pay out. So that pays off Tim's mum. So we finally...
But none of this is going to happen because Alia's going to spill.
You think so?
Well, that's what she's basically saying.
Yeah, that's what she's saying at the end of Friday. You wait to see her on the start of Monday.
We'll see.
Because to maintain this position, how differently did she behave when she was inside the house with
Right.
Hashim's body on
Right.
the floor, and then she immediately goes out and starts talking to people as if everything's fine.
Yeah.
And she does that, basically turning on a sixpence. Or a dime, if you prefer. Jasmine doesn't know anything about it.
Poor Yasmin. Because every time something like this happens that she's completely unaware of, they make her say something that just sounds like so dumb, considering everything we all know.
Right.
Like the fact that she was like, oh, well, the insurance is going to pay out, so I've already promised Tim's mum her money. And everybody else is like, no!
Yeah,
And
that's
she's
not
like,
how people do
"Why?"
things. I don't have this money yet, so I'm not going to promise it to anybody.
Right, but that's not how Yasmin works.
Apparently not.
I hope she goes and apologizes to Stu.
Yeah, he's in hospital still simmering away about that.
Right, yeah. Hopefully it doesn't, stir the pot.
Right. Yeah,
We wouldn't want...
there's a meaty conversation to be had
yeah,
at some point in the future.
We wouldn't want the stew to boil over.
Right. Such a stock character.
Okay, I think we're done for this
Yeah.
week. Let's save some stew puns for next week, shall we?
Okay. So that was the week that was Coronation
was.
Street. What was your moment of the week?
Todd's
I
business
think
cards.
it's Todd's and his business cards.
Todd's business cards. It's the moment of the week. It was so funny.
Do you know why it was so funny?
And it was so well done, and his timing was impeccable. You know, and he was so deadpan about it. That just made it funnier.
I just loved the kind of layering of it and how my expectations of something happening were gradually built. Because you have the conversation with Curtis and Emma and the support group chick, and then you see Todd just sitting in the corner minding his own business, and you think, oh, Todd's
there.
in the show this week. And then you remember, oh, Todd's an undertaker. Mm-hmm. And then you remember Curtis is supposedly terminally ill.
Yes.
And then you find the connection to that just as Todd delivers his lines. I thought it was perfectly
Brilliant,
done. Just
brilliant.
really, really good.
Yes.
So that is our
Moment of the week.
and our boring moment of the week then.
Is it Michael talking to Glory about how much her mother really loves her?
Yeah, it could be.
Is it Daniel trying to explain Shakespearean sonnets to the cop?
That was hilarious.
It was funny. Is it? Chesney wasn't in it this week, so I can't say it. I can't make it Chesney.
Is it
Dick.
Summer constantly thinking that everything that happens is going to affect her Oxford application?
Yes, that's it.
There we go.
Summer in Oxford.
You walked right into this one, Summer, and you've been like this for a couple of weeks and you've
Yeah.
dodged it. But
Yeah, we're
coming home to roost.
we're
That
done
is
with you
our-
in Oxford.
Boring moment of the week.
Tracy calling her Oxbridge though, that was hilarious.
Superb.
So good.
I wanted
was
something
a-
better than Reverend Liar.
It was still funny
It
though.
was still funny, but there's a better line there somewhere.
Hmm.
But Oxbridge was funny, and Anti-Vaxxer was funny as well.
Right. Yes.
Oh God, see that
See,
could have been a moment of the
that's
week.
a close runner-up for moment of the week.
Yeah, and in actual fact, it probably should have been because it's the first we've seen of the real Tracy for such a long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've hit the button. There's
Right.
no going back.
There's no
now.
going back. We're
There's
giving
no
it to
going
Todd.
back.
We
Right.
don't really give it to Todd very often,
That's what she said.
and not like that.
So, shall we wrap this one up then?
Yes, please.
If you've ever
Handed out a business card to a terminally ill man.
Shame on you. Seek solace at us. We're the talk of the street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice.
Please.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
I'll talk on the street.
The Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.